wanted to know what I got with my startup, and so here are some of my favorite pieces of lab equipment that are often underappreciated, and I think they're really useful. This is not a paid endorsement. There are lots of different brands. I'm not endorsing any brand, but these are the things I really love. This finally came. This is my thermal shaker, and so basically it totally beats these heat baths where you have no idea what temperature things are actually at and you have to like fiddle around with knobs. This allows you to get hot and cold. There's different ones that some of them don't get cold, but some of them do get cold. And then it shakes and doesn't just sit in the heat bath. And so this is really great for doing things like 1 mil cultures, like outgrowths of your bacterial cells, their competent cells, before you plate them, as well as for doing various assays, heating up your samples for SDS-PAGE. All these things you can do with one of these, so it's really awesome. My favorite piece of lab equipment is my P10, so a 10 microliter micro pipette. For some reason, like, people just like don't have these, and then you have to go from a P2 to a P20, and then the P20 uses the same tips as the P200, and so then it's just not as precise and not as accurate and all these things. So I really love P10. P5000 going on the other end of things, so you can go up to 5 mil volumes with one of these, and so it totally beats doing the 1 mil syringe over and over and over, or doing a serological pipette or something, and so that's awesome. Speaking of doing things over and over and over, a repeater pipette, and so here you kind of like suck things up once, and then you do steps where you're each time you push down, you're doing an aliquot as a designated size, and so that's super duper helpful for things like aliquoting out your antibiotic stocks or other stock solutions, aliquoting little purified protein into strips for freezing, all these great things. Speaking of freezing, you're often going to be kind of desalting or changing out the buffer before you freeze your protein, and the desalting column so beats dialysis so much faster. So this is basically, you put it on an FPLC like an ACTA, and then it will put the liquid through, and so basically you equilibrate it with the buffer you want to get exchange into, and then your protein comes in and your protein comes out with the buffer that was in here. Well, the buffer that came in with your protein is trapped in here, and so it's a bulk form of size exclusion chromatography, and it's really awesome and time saving, and I hate dialysis, and so this is just a real yay. Okay, speaking of time saving, if you're doing a bunch of mini preps or other sorts of like PCR product purification, that sort of thing, the centrifuge, like, you often do it in these little spin columns, and doing the centrifuging over and over and over can be a really big pain. A vacuum manifold is going to make it a lot easier. So basically you just stick the little column that you would have stuck in the collection tube, and here you hook this up to your vacuum line, and then you just turn the spigot, the vacuum goes through, you close it, you open it, you close it as needed, and so you can do a lot of samples at once, and it's super duper helpful. Speaking of vacuums, a vacuum filter, and so this is a reusable vacuum filter, and so often people use kind of the disposable ones, and so you can reuse these a couple times, but I mean, like, not officially, but you can, but then they can get clogged and stuff, and basically they're not designed for that, whereas this one is actually designed to be reusable. And so you put the filter membranes into here, and then this goes onto your bottle, and so you can put it on any sort of bottle and it'll filter your solutions through. If you do a bunch of protein purification things where you're having to make a lot of buffers and filtering them before you put them on the FPLC, this is a major help. Also, a major help is having something that can rotate your tubes, and so this is just a tube rotator. It's helpful to have one with variable speed, so if you want to do like a gentle mixing to get your protein in contact with beads, or if you want to do a vigorous shaking to try to dissolve your solutions, then one of these is really helpful, and they come with like different paddles that you can put different size tubes in. A box cutter so that you can open the boxes with the stuff you get. Metal block for your tubes. You stick this on ice and it gets cold really fast, and it keeps your samples cold and organized on your ice, and so one of these kind of metal blocks is super duper helpful. Again, I'm not advertising any brand, and so basically you can get a lot of these things for a lot cheaper through things like Amazon. Like I think I got this one really cheap from Amazon, and then they sell like really expensive versions. And so you can also, if you reach out to representatives for the various companies, you can often get deals on things like demo units and stuff as well. And so it's about kind of taking advantage of those sorts of things when if you're in the position to be buying things. Try to make contact with the reps and things. I found to be really helpful as I've been able to spend some of my startup, and so that's one of the nice things about kind of getting a tenure track job is you get startup funding, which I'm really grateful for, and I get some of these things that I love that I think are undervalued